back to another video on my channel. Today's video is going to be a cryptid video, and I was gonna say I feel like I haven't covered a cryptid in quite a while, but I feel like I've just been in general slacking on videos altogether. But anyways, today we're going to be talking about the Bear Lake Monster, which is a cryptid, and I'm really looking forward to sharing this specific cryptid with you guys. So with that all being said, let's get right on into today's video. This specific creature has been around for hundreds of years and inhabits the waters of Bear Lake. I personally absolutely love swimming. It is my #1 most favorite thing to do. And while researching for this case, I obviously was looking at pictures of Bear Lake, and I do have to say that the water there looks absolutely stunning. And as somebody who loves swimming, if I hadn't heard of this creature, I would definitely think that this would be an amazing place to go for a swim. Anyways, the Bear Lake Monster is described as being about 40 feet long. It is said to have this long serpent-like face. Its legs are said to be very short, but despite the length of this creature's legs, they are said to be very strong and powerful. The creature is said to be creamy kind of color, almost like brownish green, but almost like that mixed with a cream color. And it is said to be just an absolutely terrifying looking creature. Some people say that this creature resembles that of a crocodile or an alligator. Other people have said that this creature resembles that of a cow, except it's in the water. So obviously the descriptions of this creature varies from story to story, from person to person. I don't really know how someone can describe something or go from describing something as looking like a cow to going to describing something as looking like a crocodile, because I feel like crocodiles and cows look absolutely nothing alike. But again, it just varies from person to person. Another side note here is that this is the first aquatic animal that I've ever covered on this channel. I again absolutely love swimming, so I try and shy away from creatures that live in the water just because I don't really want to freak myself out. But this creature would be more of an amphibian, because yes, it does usually stalk its prey from in the water, but once it kind of sees its prey, it's got its eyes on it, it will then chase its prey onto land. So you are not safe from this creature once you get out of the lake. It is said that the first sighting of this creature took place in the 19th century, with the first published documented sighting of this creature would take place in 1868 and would be documented by a man by the name of Joseph C. Rich. Joseph wrote for the Desert News, which was the local newspaper at that time, and in this newspaper he wrote about how the natives in the area were having concerns about a serpent-like creature that was living within the waters of Bear Lake. He then continued to write and also included that even the white settlers at that time were reporting encounters with this serpent-like creature, and they were calling this serpent-like creature the Water Devil. After this original article was published in the paper, that is when the leader of the Latter-day Saints Church, Charles C. Rich, took a particular interest in this creature. He then traveled to that area on a preaching tour, and while there he took the time to talk to the locals in the area about the Bear Lake Monster. And he reported back to Joseph saying that after talking to the locals in the area about this creature, he said that many of the reports were you had to believe them, because there was just so many people coming forward with the reports of seeing this creature that they were you couldn't explain them away. There was no way to dismiss these claims. After the first article was written about the Bear Lake Monster in the Desert News, the writer continued to publish stories in the newspaper about this specific topic. However, his kind of view on this creature was absolutely all over the place. Sometimes he stood on the side where he was a little bit skeptical and he didn't believe some of the stories that were coming in, where in other times he would strongly stand behind the existence of this creature, and he would really defend the existence, saying that it was absolutely 100% fact that this creature was stalking Bear Lake. Something that I came across while researching this creature that I thought was extremely interesting as somebody who is interested in cryptids but doesn't really have to do much with the Bear Lake Monster itself is that some people believe that, or some natives in the area believed that Bear Lake was cursed by water babies. Now those are a completely separate cryptid, which I hope to cover in the future. If you don't know about them, I highly recommend doing a quick little Google search because they are extremely interesting. But some natives believed that the waters were cursed by these water babies, and that later transferred onto this huge lizard-like creature that was now living in Bear Lake. Now, of course, like I already mentioned, they aren't really connected too deeply, and this doesn't really have much to do with this case, and I couldn't find really a lot of information about that, but I did think that was interesting enough that I wanted to throw it in here. Now, kind of jumping back to these articles that were being written about the Bear Lake monster, they just kept surfacing for several years, and people kept reading about them, and because of all of this speculation that was going on about this creature, it started to be speculated that somewhere underneath the water in Bear Lake, there were possibly these like caves or tunnels that connected to much larger bodies of water, such as Salt Lake, which would be why the Bear Lake monster wasn't seen that often, because maybe it was swimming around Bear Lake and that is why it was seen once in a while, but then it would go down underneath the water and escape through these tunnels into a much bigger lake where it was less likely to be spotted. I do have to say that I don't think there are any caves or tunnels in Bear Lake underneath the water, just because I would think that somebody would have dived down there and had a look around and figured out whether or not there were these caves or tunnels under there, which I could not find online. I couldn't find any confirming information whether or not these tunnels or caves exist, and I feel like if they did, there would probably be some information about that online. However, of course, I've never dove underneath the water of Bear Lake to look, so I don't know if that could be true or not. Interest in this topic continued to grow over the next several years until Birmingham Young took an interest in this case. Now, Birmingham Young is actually the president of the Latter-day Saints Church at that time. So the Latter-day Saints Church, or a lot of the members, like the high-up members of the Latter-day Saints Church, were really interested in the Bear Lake monster in the 19th century while this was all going on. Young had decided that he wanted to settle this once and for all. He wanted to for sure see whether or not this creature existed or it didn't. So he talked to a few of the locals, and he got one of the locals to agree with him that they were going to set up a trap and they were going to attempt to catch the Bear Lake monster. To do this by using a long baited hook attached to a 20-foot cable and a 300-yard, 1-inch thick rope, which would be attached at the end to a large buoy with a flagstaff at the end of that and an anchor to keep it in position. They were really set in this. They were dead set that they were going to use this trap and they were going to catch the Bear Lake monster. However, for whatever reason, maybe something came up or they just lost interest in this topic, they never even set up this trap, meaning that the Bear Lake monster was never caught. 20 some odd years after the original sighting of the Bear Lake monster, once this all really started to die out, Joseph C. Rich, the writer for the Desert News, came forward saying that he fabricated a lot of the stories that he had written in the paper about the Bear Lake monster. But despite this, people continued to come forward with stories and encounters saying that they did in fact have a real-life encounter with this beast. So now that we've really dove into the history of this creature, let's talk about some of the encounters that people have reported of having with the Bear Lake monster. Before we get into this, just like I say in every cryptid video, none of these stories are mine. I've never even been to Bear Lake, and I have never encountered the Bear Lake monster. I am just using these stories and these encounters for entertainment and educational purposes, but none of these stories are mine. I have never encountered a cryptid. In 1907, there was a report in a Logan newspaper that two men had been camping when all of a sudden their campsite had been absolutely ransacked and attacked by the Bear Lake monster. This attack was enough that both men were absolutely terrified and petrified, and they were hiding. But the Bear Lake monster was so vicious that it had allegedly even killed their horse. Another man claimed that he was on his nightly walk alongside Bear Lake when all of a sudden, to his surprise, he saw what was the Bear Lake monster. This man was absolutely terrified, but he had brought in his rifle along with him just in case he encountered a creature like this, and so he pulled it out and started shooting, but he said that none of the bullets even touched the creature. The man turned around and hightailed it home, but while doing so, he ended up dropping his rifle. The man then went on to claim that the creature did in fact eat his rifle, and that the creature was pretty much invincible because the bullets weren't working, even though he was quite sure that the bullets had in fact hit the creature. In 1937, a 4-year-old boy came forward claiming that he had spotted a creature that he believed was the Bear Lake Monster. And in 1946, a Boy Scout leader came forward claiming that he had spotted what he believed was the Bear Lake Monster. Now, we don't have too many details about either one of these cases, but again, both boys believed that what they had encountered was in fact the Bear Lake Monster itself. More recently, however, in 2002, a man by the name of Brian Hershey came forward claiming that he had an encounter with the Bear Lake Monster. Of course, there are a lot of skeptics to Brian's story, however, he claims that it is 100% true. One day, after a day on the water, Brian was kind of getting his pontoon boat together to be docked, and while he was doing so and kind of setting it up for the night, that is when he spotted 2 humps sticking out of the water. He originally thought that these 2 humps were water skis that somebody had just left in the water, but shortly after realizing that these 2 humps were there, they then disappeared. But while Brian was kind of looking over the side of his boat, looking to see where these water skis had went, that is when this huge serpent-like creature shot up out of the water beside his boat. I think is so strange about this story itself is that Brian's boat, even before this encounter, wasn't just a normal pontoon boat. His boat was shaped like the Bear Lake Monster. So after he had this encounter, he would then hold these 45-minute boat rides where you could ride on the Bear Lake Monster, and he would tell these folklore stories about the Bear Lake Monster and the creatures that live in Bear Lake. With the Bear Lake Monster not making an appearance for several years, most people believe that this creature is now gone for good. However, a lot of people still visit this area in hopes of seeing the creature, and just like with every other cryptid, this area has become quite a hot spot for people going down there and hoping to see the Bear Lake Monster itself. But guys, that brings us to the end of today's video. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to comment down below what you'd like to see in my future videos, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on that notification bell so that you don't miss any future videos from me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys!